begin to roar. There's no ice in iRacing, and drivers don't have to worry about no polar vortex this week in NASA's GT Americas. We come to you live from the Circuit of the Americas for today's Lone Star Grand Prix. Last week, championship leaders struggled at Barber, while newcomer to 2021, Philip Kraus, thrived. Over in the AM side, Christian Chandler dominated once again in the absence of Richmond Raceway Esport. I'm Chad Irvine. Here with me in the ASN commentary cube, as always, is a good friend Mike Berry. Mike, tell us a little bit about this interesting COTA track.
Yeah, Circuit of America is one of the newest tracks built in the United States. It started in 2012 for Formula One racing primarily, but we're here in GT cars. It's a really great track with a lot of elevation changes and a lot of parts copied from different tracks around the world. But even though you might think, oh, a copy makes it a little bit boring, I mean, it really does produce a good race. I think we're in for a treat tonight, fellas.
Yeah, turn one goes up a massive hill, and then as you exit, you go right back down it. That's a look at one of the Renovo racing cars. That is the 113 of Michael Janney, currently sitting in, I think, third of points. But let's go ahead and real quick and take a look at those points as we get set for today's Lone Star Grand Prix. Josh Klogg now is in the lead at 231 points, just 11 in front of Ray Kingsbury, his teammate. Then 18 points back, Michael Janney, then Ragster, then Pandev, Fanning, McDonald, Marwan Mafta in 8th. Philip Kraus and Steve Lane wrap up the top 10. And now looking at your Spark Virtual Racing Pro Team standing. Spark Laslap Motorsports in first with 455 points. 62 points back is Renovo Racing Reloaded. 123 points back is Renovo Racing Chrome. Then you got Matco Tools and Red Kite Virtual Motorsports wrapping up the top 5.
And looking at our AM standings here, we have Christian Chandler with a dominating lead, 348 points. Right behind him, Clark Archer, almost half that. Peter Houston finishing 3rd. Jimmy Millis 4th. Taylor Carroll 5th. Kieran Forrest 6th. Brendan Lambert tied for 6th. Seth Rawls 8th. Zach Novak 9th. And Anthony Burrows rounded out our top 10. And we're going to take a look over at our team standings. Richmond Raceway Esports, despite missing 2 races, still has a pretty commanding lead for the team championship. Right behind them, Masterclass Performance Racing. Spark Lambert Motorsport in 3rd. Vapex in 4th. And Team LRL rounding out the top 5.
It's been a ton of fun to watch this season. It's a little bit of a smaller field today than we're used to seeing. Anyway, we will show up in the rain or the snow or whatever weather we might be having, because there is no weather in iRacing. It's always a sunny or cloudy day. We might have some fog out there, but overall, we always are here to put on a good show for everybody out there, as Janney, with a minute left in qualifying, sits on pole. Philip Kraus, the guy that's won the last 2 races, put in a dominating performance, has not yet turned a lap, and multiple drivers have failed to do so. It's a very technical track with very harsh track limits. So as we see him come around last final couple of corners, we'll have to see if he was able to keep things clean as he comes out of the final corner and down the straightaway, crossing the line, and he goes to P4. So he's right behind third. Yep, he is right behind all of the Renovo Racing that are in the top 3. Dan McDonald, the 4th car of that team, sits in 6th place right now, and he unfortunately is driving a little bit injured. Apparently a football injury has worked its way back into his leg and is driving a little hampered at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like the Ferraris really came out to play tonight. I think with Janney, Pandev, and Rex rounding out your podium to start the race. No debate here. They're here to party, and so I'll go see what they can do in the sprint and the feature.
I'm taking a look at your top 10. You can see them there. Michael Janney, I believe, is on pole, followed by Ivan Pandev, Savian Ragster, then Philip Kraus, Josh Klogg, Dan McDonald, and Kevin Fanning. Then Ray Kingsbury in 8th, then Steve Lane, Tim Brokaw, and Marwan Mafta wrapping up the top, Tim Brokaw and then Marwan Mafta wrapping up the GT Pro class.
And looking back into GTM class, we have.
It's gonna be
No, that's not looking right. Hold on.
Christian Challoner is on the pole, followed by Steve Brown and John Dipple, then Russell Clayson, Peter Houston, Magnus Okenhaug, and then Kieran Forrest. Clark Archer in 8th, 9th is Sean Stratton, and Travis Seymour wraps up the field. The last 3 cars are not turning a lap.
Those guys, I mean, guys like Clark Archer, really fast. I guess he's opting to start at the back, maybe to give himself a bit more of a challenge. We'll see how it goes in the sprint and the feature, though. I think, obviously this does determine where you start in the feature, so it is a good idea to qualify beforehand so you can, give yourself the best setup for that 45-minute race.
Yeah, Archer was 0.4 of a second faster than Christian Challoner in pre-race practice, but he did not turn a lap. So maybe just trying to have a little bit of fun with it. It is a smaller field, so he will have less work to do. But it's going to be interesting to see how he gets that to play out for him as we get set for the feature. And only one driver remaining to take to the grid. It's going to be a shorter pace lap this time. We're only doing about half the circuit, which is thankful along such a long one like this. Taking a look through our grid, I mean, pace car finally rolls away. You see those zebra cars up front, that is Team Renovo Racing. The odd man out there on the front 2 rows is Philip Kraus on the outside of row number 1, and he is in that teal Spark Virtual Racing machine. We are hearing from our producer Victor that the first 2 laps in qualifying for Philip Kraus were invalidated by off-track, so fortunately for him, he's got a third shot at it, and he made the most of it, getting P4 on our starting grid. There you see him, the lone Ford up there in 4th place. Next highest Ford is Kevin Fanning, Team Matco Tools. Fanning, Steve Lane, and Tim Brokaw, the 3 Matco cars. Only 3 that are running the Ford other than Philip Kraus.
You see Mac Kingsbury now. He's was suspended before. I see, still is.
Yeah, he missed. He was suspended for a race earlier in the season, but after the developments that we talked about during our last race, he is parked for the season, set to administrative duties for the league. So, stepping up in any way he can when he can't take to the track.
Yeah, I mean, even though, yes, I mean, he's proven he made some mistakes on the track, he's ready to make up for them off. And how do they come off the corner? They're going to start the race now. Green flags out, and the Ferrari's pulling out to a dominant lead.
Yep, really. Janney got to a great jump, and then Ragster looking up the inside early, and it's going to be Ragster getting the position. So Ragster moves up from 3rd to 2nd right off the jump, pushing his teammate just a little bit wide. Do have to worry somewhat about track limits here, but fortunately enough, they aren't too strict. And here we go to the GT3s, the AM category here is Christian Challoner with a huge jump.
Yeah, Challoner getting a good run off here into turn 1. I think it's about a 5-story reach up into turn 1. There he goes. The Lamborghini of John Dipple right behind him. Then you have Steve Brown. And we have a spin behind us. That's Russell Clayson, started 4th.
That's Russell Clayson when he gets it back rolling. I don't think there was much, if any, contact to his car. And something happening as well to the 999 of Philip Kraus. Have to see if we can't see what happened to him. Maybe a connection issue possibly, because he completely disappeared from our timing and scoring for a moment. And he just went off track as well. It was him and Josh Klogg was involved in that as well. So him and Josh Klogg both with an issue as they ran wide at turn 6 and able to get things back going.
Yeah, just unfortunate. I mean, just hard racing through the S's there. It's not exactly passing place, but it's a hell of a lot of fun to drive. Yeah, just I don't know. Let's see what they can do in the future. I don't know if they're gonna be able to win this sprint.
Yep, Janney out to a commanding lead, and then it's Janney Ragster, and then Pandev now, followed by not Philip Kraus any longer.
McDonald.
It's Dan McDonald that's in here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 for all 4 of the Renovo Racing teams. A great day in the points for them as it stands so far, but there's still a lot of racing to go. Josh Klogg lost a lot of positions there. He went from 5th all the way back down to 10th. And now he's got to work his way back up through the field. That is your points leader that has some work to do.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a good time for Michael Janney. I think he's sitting second in points. He's going to now really try and see if he can make his way, start improving. Like, I mean, he has 4 races to go. Can he make up that ground and potentially come away with the championship?
Here's a replay. This is from the start, so we have a couple of corners until we figure out what exactly happened to them. You see, that's Klogg on the inside, Kraus on the outside there. They switch it back to go side by side once again. And then through turn 2 and turn 3 now. Oh, and Kraus went in too deep. Maybe thought he was clear. There definitely was contact. Oh, contact again. So we'll have to see how bad the damage is to both of those cars. But Kraus just diving it in too deep there in turn number 3 and unfortunately unable to keep out of the way of his teammate.
Just bad timing and just unlucky for 2 guys who've been really fast, especially Philip Kraus winning the last 2 feature races.
And great news there for Ray Kingsbury. Unfortunately, it is his teammate, but for Ray Kingsbury, who's running 5th, he is able to advance and gain some points, if not positions, up to 1st in the standings. Of course, Ray running that number 1. He is your champion from the inaugural NASA GT Americas last season. The best battle on track right now is between John Dipple and Steve Brown that we're looking at. I'm sorry, that's Kieran Forrest and Clark Archer. I was just looking at another battle side by side, and yeah, so that's Forrest, Archer, and Stratton. Those 3. I saw the team car there, and Kieran Forrest now running wide. And then Stratton's the next car there for the battles of 4 cars right there. You can put a box around them and up going wide. Oh, and contact again. That's the 44 of Kieran Forrest involved in that contact. He was having some wheel issues earlier. I don't think that was part of that issue. There was just contact that sent him around. You see the left side of his car all dinged up, and getting away scot-free seems to be Russell Clayson trying to work his way back up through the field. And this is back up front that I mentioned just a minute ago. That's John Dipple and Steve Brown. 2 teammates there. I believe, they're not teammates. They're just running similar space-ish themed. I just got the spaceship themed, and I think they're teams, but no, they are not teammates. LRL for Dipple, and then Apex for Steve Brown, and both of them, I mean, just some great-looking cars. You see them come through this tight section of the course. It's pretty flat out, but you do have to. It's not flat out, but it looks on a track map very safe, very easy. But it can be a very technical part of the track as they come up through to this next hairpin. They are about a second and a half or so behind your lead. This is a battle for 9th up in GT Pro. This is between Krauts and it's Philip Krauts and Josh Klogg that are battling there. So it looks like something has happened to Marwan Mafta, who gave a spot to both of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, those 2, a little bit of history just in this race got involved.
And they're still side by side for the last 3 or 4 corners. It seems like Klogg gets the spot, able to hold on to it, but what does the Ford of Philip Kraus have to do in terms of top line speed? Because that's where we've seen this Corvette of Josh Klogg really struggle, is the top end speed. It does handle much better, as we talked about all season long, midway through the corner, but unfortunately does not have the top end speed to keep him in front. So going up this huge vertical rise, you can see him just climbing that hill, just chugging along, very late on the brakes, carrying all the momentum around Josh Klogg, and almost getting there on the outside was Philip Kraus, but no, it's still going to be Josh Klogg up front.
He's going to try to cross over here now as they come into the SS here. I don't think he's going to be able to get much done, though. Just a really interesting S's right here. Just basically chaining together different parts, Maggots and Beckett's, the S's at Suzuka, just to really create a really interesting track.
Christian Chandler, by the way, making the most of that battle behind him. He's pulled out to almost a 2.5 second, or sorry, 4-second lead. Sorry, I'm bad at math right now, but 4-second lead over both Brown and Dipple as they remain side by side. But this battle still raging on as these guys, they have to figure at some point. I think that's going to be. Oh, I thought that Klogg was going to let him go, but they remain side by side. At some point here, they need to realize, hey, we can work together and just work our way up through the field. But instead, they continue to battle each other because they're faster than all of these guys from Echo, Tools, Fanning, Lane, and Brokaw, but they have to get there. Of course, they qualified up at the front of this field. They qualified just behind Ivan Panda, behind Ragster, who started third. These guys qualified, I think, 4th and 5th, and they fell down quick. So they've shown that they have pace, but they need to be able to get there as they start to just, I think, slipstream and going to work their way up as finally Kraus gets around Josh Klogg.
Yeah, that's that racer's mentality for you, Chad. I mean, no one wants to give, even if it makes more sense. I mean, it might, as from us looking at it, like up here, I mean, you'll see it in this. We see, all right, you should let them by, make your way towards the front. But for these guys, it's all points, it's all positions. They're going to be starting. They want to start one place ahead of everybody else in this feature.
Yeah, with the way that the battle is looking, they're really heating up and still climbing up the hill through this left-hander, then diving right back down. That elevation change is what really makes turn one very interesting. When the Indy cars were here, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, when they came up there and then they had to run, 2019 it was, they went up the hill, had to go very wide. They actually decided to remove track limits there because of how wide the cars wanted to push out, especially with that elevation change. It definitely made for an exciting show for them in the Indy cars. Formula One's put on some good races there as well. But now in NASA GT Americas, we're doing the best we can to put on the best show that this track has ever seen.
Yeah, no.
This is a look back at the Matco Tools team. This is Brokaw working on the back of Lane. But right behind him now, as always, see him creeping into your picture there. That is Philip Kraus and Josh Klogg. They've decided, let's not duke this out any longer. Let's just try to work our way up the field.
I don't know if they decided anything. I mean, it just seems like Phil's been able to get a really big run now as he shoots right to the inside of Tim Brokaw. He's going to get that position effortlessly. Steve Lane ahead, I don't think he'll be causing him too much of a problem.
Going into that corner, Philip Kraus, you could hear, I definitely could hear him say it. Silly, I'm still going to send it, and he just sent it right up the inside of Brokaw there. So now it's Lane, the next car in line.
I don't know how much Wayne's going to be able to do here. I mean, these guys are so much faster. I'd say there's not too many laps to go, though. He might want to hold on.
A very small lockup under braking for Philip Kraus, and Klogg trying to take advantage. He's going to go up the inside. Can he hold on to it? He can! So Philip Kraus locks up. The smallest of mistakes gives the position to Josh Klogg. And now they go back up the hill in turn one. Here goes Kraus up the inside.
Here's Steve Lane. He's going to be trying to hold on for dear life here, I think.
He's
ahead of the fastest guys on the field. He's going to want to maybe, take it easy. Just keep in front of them, defend a little bit, and I think he'll be able to come away with a decent position.
He is just licking his chops right there, seeing these two guys battle it out behind him, trying to hold on for as long as he can. About 3 minutes to go. We're 6 laps in. We have under 5 minutes. Time is just flying by in this race.
Yeah, it's just a really good battle right here. Here they go. Is Josh going to make the move here? Yes, he is. Right to the inside and a hairpin. Both of them are. Steve's not really going to put up too much of a fight as they head down the backstretch.
I think that Kraus kind of got crossed up there. I think he was trying to go to the outside, maybe make it 3 wide or get him on an exit, but instead, with just how slow that Ford is Steve Lane was there, he just did not have the timing. He had to react quickly and get back to the inside. and get that position back without losing too much time. And as you see on your screen, he did not lose any time at all. He's right back on the gearbox of Josh Klogg.
And here they are coming into the section reminiscent of Hockenheim. That little inside section there now as they're going to head into the Turkey Turn 8 clone, but going the other way this time. Really exciting corner here. You see, if you notice, they're not exactly able to go full throttle, but they're going to try their best to do so. And I think Josh is going to be able to hold on a little bit longer. Only 2 laps to go, I believe.
And so it's still Klogg there in front. That's a look. There we go. That's a look at Ray Kingsbury. Ray Kingsbury right on the back of Kevin Fanning, it looks like. And now this is further back. Oh, we have trouble. Christian Chandler, your leader in GT3s, is off. He spun around on his own, too late on the brakes, and he lost 2 positions there. Both Steve Brown and John Dipple got around him, and he's going to have to grind hard. He has won every single sprint and every single feature so far on this season. Made the slightest mistake. Oh, there was contact. I didn't think that anybody was near him at the time. Yes. Very late on the brakes. There's contact there. That was the 162 or 182 of Steve Brown in that Mercedes. And now Christian Chandler has some work to do if he wants to keep the streak alive.
He's currently, I believe, was it 12-0? Yes, 12-0. I mean, we could be seeing 12-1 right now. This is history in the making here in GT America. It's the longest winning streak, I think, in the league's history. Could be coming to an end right in front of our eyes.
It is not a very long history, but oh my goodness, what a streak it's been. It's been so, not a very long history for this league, but then again, I mean, that's a very long streak, and you have to be perfect for so long just to maintain it.
It's not like he didn't have challenges before. We had guys like Jimmy Mullis, Zach Novak trying to take away his crown, but after all of them, Christian was able to come out on front. As now we're watching the battle for the lead in GT3 Pro, in GT3 AM, and they're going to the outside. John Dipple holding them off though, going a little bit wide as they come down the backstretch. Christian about 20 car lengths back.
It's gonna. The white flag is actually out, coming to the line. I believe, is that the final lap for your leaders? I can't.
That's the final lap.
Sorry, this is the white flag is out. Actually, sorry about that. As Christian Chandler, he was last time by the line was 4 seconds or so, 3.5 seconds. So he's got a little bit of work to do. But as hard as they're battling in front of him, it's already down to 2.6, just grinding away. Christian just hitting his marks, doing everything he can to catch up to these guys as they're going to take the white flag this time by.
This streak is something that we talked to him last week. He was pretty happy about. I mean, it'd be a real shame for it to end now, but it's looking more and more likely as John Dipple was able to pull away a little bit from Steve Brown. Got about 5 car lengths on him. Christian's really not able to do much, I think, in the slower section. It's like, he's not as strong. We might be seeing a crack in the defense of Christian Chandler here.
He's got to work his way back up, and you see that gap to him behind is closing. Oh, going around there is the 68. That's Kevin Fanning. He just got passed by a couple of cars, and he goes around on his own. Christian Chandler still working his way up, trying to catch these guys, and the gap is still closing.
I don't know what he can do now. He didn't lose too much time there, but he didn't really gain much either.
And just nailing these curbs, trying to catch any bit of time they can. I don't think that they're going to call them sausage curbs exactly, but they have some very stiff curbs on the inside of the corners through this section, making sure nobody gets too much of an advantage from it. And Christian Chandler pushing very hard. Looking back up, and this is going to be Michael Janney dominating every single lap of this race around the final corner, flashing the lights, and he takes victory here in the Lone Star Grand Prix, followed up by Ragster and McDonald. Then it's in Pandev as well. Then Kingsbury and Kraus, I believe, are going to wrap up 5th and 6th there. But let's go back to this battle because they're still battling between Dipple and Steve Brown for the lead, and Christian Chandler just hoping that both of these guys make a mistake at some point because they're side by side coming into the last technical section, the last true passing zone on this track. Oh, what a battle this has been. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, they're side by side now. Ooh,
Almost some
close there.
contact. Almost some contact between them, and it's gonna be Steve Brown back out front. They come now through another hairpin. They've got a couple of more corners left to go, and Christian Challoner, the streak going to come to an end.
We all thought that Christian's streak would end by a wreck. It was a little bit of a wreck. Unfortunately, fortunately, he's still going to finish third. It's not the end of the world. But they're going to. We still have John Dipple defending Steve Brown. He
one more corner.
There they go. They're going to be side by side coming off the corner.
And who's going to get at the line? It's the 34. It's Dipple holds on. Wow. Just what a fight that was. Oh my goodness.
Steve Brown finishing second. Christian Challoner finishing third. Peter Houston barely beating out Clark Archer in a finish that we didn't really see there, but that was pretty close for that whole race. Russell Clayson gonna finish, what was that, fifth? No, sixth. And Magnus Ockenog and Kieran Forrest coming through the last corner. They're going. Oh my God, the bumper maybe. Not quite. And that's gonna.
The gap at the line was 0.125. And then they were still barely over a second back to Christian Challoner, or ahead of Christian Challoner.
Can't say Christian didn't make an effort.
It looks like a couple of cars still struggling. Travis Seymour, the only car left on track, and he's just trying to nurse it home at this point. He's got it around the final corner, and Travis Seymour puts the finish together, ends things nicely. What a race, though. I mean, that battle between Klogg and Kraus ended up with Kraus taking it there for 6th place. They were able to work their way up after their incident on lap 1. And that's going to be 1 extra point for Ray Kingsbury over Josh Klogg that he makes up there, because only the top 6 get the extra point, or get points in the sprint races. So it's gonna make things interesting as we wrap things up here for the sprint race. And what a show. Let's go through our field real quick. Michael Janney took the win from the pole, finishing at the same spot. He's going to start there for our feature. Then Savian Ragster and Dan McDonald. Von Pandev finishes in 4th, followed by Ray Kingsbury. Great run from 8th to 5th for him. Then Philip Kraus and Josh Klogg, the two we talked about that wrecked early and able to work their way back up through the field. Then Steve Lane, Tim Brokaw, Kevin Fanning, and Marwan Mafta wrapping up the field in GT Pro.
And in GTM, the Streak Slayer, John Dipple, coming away with the first win for a GTM driver that's not named Christian Challoner. Steve Brown finishing 2nd, Christian Challoner, our dominator, finishing 3rd. Peter Houston finishing 4th, Clark Archer 5th, Russell Clayson 6th, Magnus Ockenog 7th, Kieran Forrest 8th, Travis Seymour 9th, and Sean Stratton retires 4 laps down in 9th. 10th? No, that's 9th. No, 10th. Yeah, 10th.
Numbers are hard, but that is okay. We're here to call races and not do math. We're going to take a short break here from the Arcade Designs Lonestar Showdown at Circuit of the Americas. Be right back, everybody, for some more exciting NASA GT Americas action. Circuit of the Americas for the Lone Star State Showdown. It's the RK Designs Race for the NASA GT Americas. Pace car gets rolling, and we'll go through your starting field real quick before the start of this race. Michael Janney led every single lap of the sprint, and he's going to start on pole here. On the outside is his teammate, Saving Ragster, then Dan McDonald and Von Pandev, then Ray Kingsbury 5th, Philip Kraus 6th, then Josh Klogg, Steve Lane, Tim Brokaw, Kevin Fanning 10th, and Marwan Mafta 11th. That's your entire GTE field.
And looking back at our GTM field, we have John Dipple upsetting the field, killing the streak. Right behind him, Steve Brown, Christian Challengers, in continuing to make up his. I think his average is still like a 1.2 or something. Not exactly a perfect one anymore, but he starts third. Peter Houston 4th, Clark Archer 5th, Russell Clayson 6th, Magnus Ockenok 7th, Kieran Forrest 8th, Travis Seymour 9th, and Sean Stratton rounding at the top 10.
Going to be interesting to watch Christian Challenger drive through at least a little bit of traffic to start this race. I mean, he has never had to do that before other than lapped traffic or getting lapped by faster class cars. So it's going to be fun to watch him. That's going to be your car to watch. The leaders of the GT3 or GTE, the GT Pro class, come through the final corner. And green flag is out. Janney off to a great jump, followed by Ragster on the outside. Not as big of a jump from Janney this time, but he is clear going into turn number 1. Philip Kraus making moves, gets around Kingsbury. And up through turn 1, side by side for second between Ragster and McDonald. McDonald going wide. So it's Janney, Ragster, McDonald, Pandev. What a battle there for second. Now GT3s are clear into turn number 1. Dipple is clean away there. Challenger trying to go to the outside. He's got second place. Very loose was Steve Brown. He lost a position. He's looking to lose another one to Peter Houston. Christian Challenger doing his best to get second place. This is a look, clobbering the curve, now completely cutting the corner. That was, I believe, Peter Houston.
And
it was
right behind him.
This is looking back though at the GT Pros. This is 4th place. That's Dan McDonald there, now in 4th. He's right behind his teammate Von, right in front of Philip Kraus, who picked up a spot early on. What a beautiful looking livery that is, and he is driving injured, of course. Old McDonald broke his leg, or at least he damaged his knee a little bit. He goes through and loses a spot on the first lap. And oh, somebody is well off there. A huge incident. That was Ray Kingsbury.
Ray Kingsbury, oh.
He completely missed the braking point for turn number 1, able to keep things out of the wall. But he lost a ton of time there on the first lap. Thankfully for him, there is a huge runoff for him.
One of the benefits of these Tilka tracks is that all the runoff is like there isn't too much of a punishment unless you make a serious mistake. I think Ray's going to come back here and probably at least salvage the top 5.
There you see the freight train of Renovo teammates. That's zoomed in on McDonald. And he is still under pressure. Or I'm sorry, is that... I'm trying to figure out which is which, because I thought... Is that McDonald? That is McDonald. Yep, back and forth. So it's McDonald, then Kraus, and then Klogg. As their way worked their way. Looking to the outside as McDonald's able to keep within track limits. There was a warning about that during the drivers' meeting this week. He is able to do so, pushing deep. So it's going to be Janney, Ragster, Panda, McDonald, Kraus. It looks like Ray Kingsbury is well behind, but able to keep things rolling after his excursion at the final corner on lap number 1.
And looking back at GTM, there's a great battle for the lead right now. Christian Challenger trying to get around John Dipple. Steve Brown in hot pursuit. He's going to start looking a little bit into the SSB. He's not going to really be able to do much with it.
He's looking that out the back of John Dipple. I mean, Challenger peeking his nose every chance, or out of the back of John Dipple. It just every chance he gets. Christian Chandler trying to get a run, get some fresh air on the front of that BMW, and he's got some work to do because it's, I mean, they're putting up a fight. Chandler struggled in final practice, and Dipple definitely able to show he's got some pace here, so definitely hold him off for now. Chandler, though, running wide was Dipple. Side by side goes Chandler. Next quarter, he's going to, I believe, be on the outside. Who has the better run?
Those BMWs, we know they're faster on the straights.
And he's got him clear. Chandler back up to first place in GTM.
And the status quo continues here. Christian Chandler back out where he's used to, P1. John Dipple not going to go without a fight, though. He's the streak slayer. He's going to see what he can do to take back that and maybe become the first guy to win 2 races.
And sending it very deep was Brown. The crossover move from Dipple.
Side by side now into Turkey Turn. Into Istanbul, I'm going to call it. Right around the outside, trying his best here. Not quite, though.
He tried to cross him over, tried to go back to Constantinople, but you can't go back to Constantinople. See, Dipple loses 2 spots on that lap to both Challoner and Brown.
Yeah, you really need to start naming the corners here. I can't keep track of numbers.
So it's now Challoner, then Brown, then Dipple, your top 3. BMW, Mercedes, Lamborghini there. Up in GT Pro, it's still a top 4 Ferrari battle. We saw them well out in front of everybody else, and still the Renovo teammates. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see those zebra cars being hounded by the Spark boys, just trying to hunt them down. It is zebra season if you're racing for Spark Virtual Racing. Very late on the brakes there was Josh Klogg, almost getting into the back of Philip Kraus, and wow, did a great job not to get into the back of him, but he did lose a bunch of time, at least 3 or 4 car lengths there.
Yeah, Josh Klogg, that's just a talent there, man. Just, making sure he didn't make that contact. He's gonna have a little bit of work to do. Philip Kraus, I think he's a little bit faster.
McDonald getting the move done on his teammate. That's McDonald around Pandev, and now fighting to get him as well was Kraus, but unfortunately not able to get the nose in time. McDonald gets the spot. Pandev only loses 1. We're being told by our producer, yes, for now, because Philip Kraus and Josh Klogg have been right there on the back bumpers the entire time. A little bit of a different story for those two compared to what we saw in the sprint race, where they both were involved in a lap 1 incident and just were trying to work their way back up through the field. By the way, Ray Kingsbury still working his way back up. He is yet to catch Marwan Mafta, who's right in front of him for 10th.
One thing I want to point out is something I've been noticing over the course of the season. You always seem to see Ragster and Pandev together. It's like they might be teammates, but you wouldn't tell by the way they race each other. Like, they're always racing each other super hard, really just giving it their all, and I just got to commend them for that, just putting on a show for the fans.
I believe their 2 team orders are 1, send it, and 2, race hard. So there is no way that they would not, or there's no way they would give an inch to each other, especially as the season battles out. Yeah, I say the number 1 rule, I guess, is don't wreck each other. But overall, I mean, they've just been fighting hard every single race. So it's still Janie, Ragster, McDonald, Pandev, the top 4 all representing Renovo Racing. This is the battle for 5th place in GTM between Archer and Stratton. As something must have happened to a couple of these guys, because Houston is just dropping down the leaderboard as they come across the stripe.
I wonder if he maybe got some damage. We saw him kind of being a bit racy to start the race. I'm just wondering if that's going to cost him a little bit, maybe some damage on the splitter.
Yeah, and of course, right behind him is Travis Seymour. Travis has been struggling just a little bit this season. A couple of off-track excursions we've seen him involved in. But overall, these guys have done a great show.
Travis off the track. Travis just died.
Oh, just as I say he's had a rough couple of weeks, he does the same exact thing. Goes straight on into the tire barrier there at turn number 6. Oh, that's unfortunate for him.
Commentator curse coming back to hit us, Chad.
Oh, he clipped that curvy that we were talking about, and it just upset the car. And you talk about a commentator's curse. He was the commentator last season here in GT Americas, and I believe that he is just cursed for all eternity. All the bad juju coming back on him for what he dished out last year. There you see, he just tried to lock it down, but unfortunately cannot do it. That entire left side of the car is dented and dinged up, and that's just unfortunate for him as he works his way back out of the gravel trap. Back to live, you're looking at that car once again. We'll have to see how bad that damage is. It doesn't look too bad. For as hard as that contact was, I don't see much damage there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that tire there really did his job. I mean,
Clayson making the move, and he's got a great run there getting clear of Stratton. Yeah, I think with as quick as that move went down, I think that was, letting him go by, making sure that he didn't damage himself, do anything. I didn't even notice that we're being told by our producer, and another great no pass along. Russell Clayson, after being let by, just sends a smiley face in chat. Just a little thank you to fellow competitors as he's working his way around the track. Up the hill again goes Russell Clayson. Let's look back at Matt Cotillo further up in the field. Is that Fanning and Lane, I believe? Or sorry, Lane and Brokaw. All these cars look very similar. Of course, they've got the two racing stripes with the Matt Cotillos on the side, representative of course, the historic Fords that raced at Le Mans. So still, Fanning, Lane, Brokaw, they're the three teammates, 68, 66, and 67 respectively, just trying to work their way up through the field. Yeah, and Ray Kingsbury did get around Marwan Mafta. Now he's got to work on these three guys just to salvage as many points as he can. He's currently 5 spots behind Josh Klogg, who he did gain 1 point on in the sprint, 2 points on in the sprint. And now he's going to have to see what he can do here in the feature. Just trying to kind of salvage the gap because he didn't have much back to Michael Janney as well, and Janney's well out front. Yeah, there's your points that we were talking about. The gap after the feature for Ray Kingsbury was down to 9. It was down to 9, and then I bad at math, but it was down to 10, I believe, for Michael Janney. So the gap between Kingsbury and Janney was down to 1 point after the sprint. And they're still working their way back up through the field. So Josh Klogg still barely hanging on to his points lead. He's got some work to do. Because I believe as points stand, he would possibly lose that first spot and get leapfrogged by Michael Janney. That would be a huge development. We'll have to see what he can do. And Josh Klogg, so yeah, you see on your timing score on the left, Pandev, something has happened. He's lost 3 spots that last lap. He is down to 6th place, so the train of Ferraris up front is now separated by a couple of cars. As we try to figure out what happened is just unfortunate. Yeah, we'll have to. It must have happened early on in the lap. I mean, he lost multiple
2 laps back. I couldn't
positions.
see anything.
And there you see it. Okay, so Philip Kraus drafting right up the back, forces Kraus onto the painted on the left. It was just a clean move. Wow. Losing 2 spots like that just shows how close both Klogg and Kraus are running on track to each other. Because if you're able to overtake 2, that reminds me of when you see multi-class racing, the car in front just punches the hole open and somebody else follows their way through. But this time, they're all in the same class, and just Philip Kraus opened the door. Josh Klogg says, "Thank you very much."
And Josh Klogg obviously finishing second right now. It's actually leading the points right now, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Michael Janney in second. Klogg needs to be able to gain as many points as possible. Even if he's not going to be able to get more points than Janney, he has to make sure he's not losing as much.
Coming out of the pits as Travis Seymour took his repairs. He had I guess he must have had some steering damage there as he pulled off on the left side of the track. Just let a couple of cars go by, making sure not to interfere with their lap. So there you see the 144 of Travis Seymour back out on track after losing a lap and trying to work his way back up.
We have a battle for the lead right now in GTM, which is we haven't really said that much. Steve Brown holding on to Christian Challenger here.
Yeah, these were the two that were involved in that incident in the sprint race. Steve Brown just unfortunate clip in the back of Christian Challenger's car, spinning him around. Challenger finished third. Brown went on to, I believe, finish second in that race as well. So Steve Brown took out the leader, but still didn't get the win himself. Unfortunate for him, but even more you have to feel for Challenger for a streak ending that way. But Christian Challenger back out front, looking to get maybe a new streak going as we start the second half of our season.
I mean, we're only have 3 races to go after it. There are 3 features to go after this. I mean, crunch time is now. If you're not where you want to be in the points, you better start working for it. You better hope that the guys in front of you have a couple bad weeks, because you're gonna have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and you see how dark it's getting. Just clouds rolling overhead. The admins that set up this session did not make the mistake that I did a couple weeks ago at Atlanta, where it was set to almost a sunset start to the race. So this time it is just the weather that's going to be cooling down this track temperature. A little more grip in these race cars is going to be interesting to see as Christian Challenger starting to pull away. He's got a little bit of a gap now out the back to Steve Brown.
I think that's the difference you see in 2 cars. The BMW, I think right now, besides the Ferrari, is the most dominant straight line speed car in GT3. Yeah, you're just seeing the just a difference in the 2 cars to beat the Mercedes. It's kind of more of a handily car.
Don't let Christian hear you say that, because he is one of the guys for iRacing that does work on the balance of performance for these cars, making sure they all run at least with comparable lap times to each other. I believe we might have an incident. We do. There's a car in the barrier. That is one of the Matco Tools cars, I believe. Is that Kevin Fanning possibly? Or no, it's Brokaw. Brokaw went in the barrier in turn number 1 on the outside.
Not too much damage I'm seeing from him. I mean, obviously not exactly how he wants to keep his race going. He was already 11. So
he just lost it under braking going up the hill. We'll see it here in just a second. We're going to go on board. Right behind that is Marwan Mafta in front of him. So something's already happened for him to lose a couple more spots. You see him just get on the brakes. I think Mafta must have broken early must have braked early for that corner, and just he wasn't expecting it. I don't know if he got the barrier too much, but he was able to keep it going. And if he didn't get the barrier, that's a great save from Tim Brokaw.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to get his race going again. I don't know, it might be tough for him to gain some positions, but it's all about trying, I think.
Worst case, there's some paint scraped off the front of that car, but this is up front of the GT Pro class. That's Ragster and McDonald battling for second place. It's Michael Janney already 3 seconds up the road, but Ragster and McDonald battling for second right now. Those are the 2 cars on the screen. This is Josh Klogg getting around Philip Kraus as well, so he's going to improve his position. He's up to 4th now, but of course those guys are about 2 seconds behind that battle for second we're looking at between Ragster and McDonald. By the way, Ragster and McDonald, as hard as they are battling, they gained almost 5/10 of a second last lap over Michael Janney. So not only are they fighting hard, they're also closing the gap to the leaders. And you can see there, that is Josh Klogg just leading this train, dealing with a little bit of lap traffic as they go through this S section. This is off the back of Kieran Forrest, who unfortunately is having some wheel issues this week, and he's going to let these guys go. Kieran Forrest currently running 9th out of 10 cars in the GT Am class.
You have to wonder, is maybe Michael Janney a little bit low on fuel? I mean, he's been so dominant to lose that much time is it's been interesting. Maybe he realized, I'm short, I should probably start saving.
I sent him a telegram before the race started. Hopefully he got it in his car. I told him just to make things interesting. So I think he's just slowing up a little bit to kind of make the race a little bit better for us. Maybe I need to send him a carrier job. I think I need to send him a carrier pigeon.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe a message in a bottle.
Oh, look at this. This is Philip Kraus swinging it to the outside, using the draft as a slingshot. Maybe the crossover move here from Kraus?
Well, maybe.
He thought about it. He tried to. No, still can't get the move done. Trying it again. Very defensive line from Josh Klogg. right there. You see the tap of the brakes before even getting to the braking zone for Philip Kraus. He's just all over the back bumper trying not to make contact. And right behind them, you can see him licking his chops with Von Pandev. Pandev just waiting to get a move done. I feel like the Philip Kraus, they're trying to recreate the movie that we just saw not too long ago. Ford vs. Ferrari. Pandev thought about peeking to the inside there and covering it off very nicely was Philip Kraus.
And looking back again at the that GT3 battle hasn't stopped between Challenger and Brown. I mean, they're basically keeping the gap at around 5/10. Challenger not really able to pull away, which is surprising for anybody not named Jimmy Mullis.
And I got a long straightaway here. We'll have to see what happens to the gap between them, though, because we talk about the straight line speed and what can happen. Of course, Brown will have the slipstream, but will it be enough being that far back to actually gain him more than maybe a third of this group? The very slow corners, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how timing works out, because Christian Challenger, I don't know what wing he's using. It's one thing he always talks about. Christian Challenger might be using a lower wing angle, because you see him pull away down the straightaway a little bit, but as I get to even, we'll have to see if he does it here. This tight corner up the hill, so much later on the brakes, able to carry so much more speed as Brown. But then once they get back onto any sort of a straightaway, Challenger just opens it right back up.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like he was braking a little bit way earlier than Brown here. So it's all about the difference in like the speeds and stuff. I think just the differences in the cars can make this battle really interesting.
And you can see how much that car is rolling through the corners. Very soft springs on that Mercedes, able to just allow that body to roll over a little bit, get the weight transfer in the corner just a little bit better. And I feel like if you're the driver, you kind of have to lean into it a little bit, you know, like you're going karting. Just get all that weight over right on the back bumper is Brown. But watch this run that Challenger's going to get off the corner.
I'll point out that's the closest I think they've been in the last couple laps that they came across the line about a minute ago. They were 4/10 apart. Otherwise, they've been like 5 or 6/10. So Steve is gaining.
Under braking, just this car is not as well for the BMW of Christian Challenger under braking. Steve Brown trying to do his best to stay right there, either hope for a mistake, with Christian hasn't made many of this season, or wait for lap traffic to catch up.
Christian usually says he makes his setups when he's practicing for the race here. That hour and a half these drivers have before. I wonder, did he get the setup wrong this time, or is he just legitimately slower? Maybe it's just not a strong suit of a track.
And just as a note, by the way, back down in GTM, Magnus Klogg did have a little off-track excursion, collected the barrier. He's got some wing damage as well, but he's also already a lap down to your leaders. So unfortunate night for him, just not going his way. But back up here, though, this is still on board with Brown, looking at Challenger, just pulling away down the straightaway. But watch how much this gap is going to close going into turn number 1.
Deep on the brakes there. See Brown almost missing the apex over. That's a bit of a screw.
He did have some time that he could have gained, especially if he hit that apex perfectly. Of course, if you take it too tight, you might lose some time because you're not able to arc out on exit as well because of the elevation change. But overall, doing a great job just holding his own today is Steve Brown. And I know from talking to Christian Challenger earlier this week, he said this wasn't his favorite track. I know that we kind of discussed some of the guys from Richmond Raceway Esports, Mullis and Novak. I talked to Mullis, and he said that he was going to be here, but unfortunately he was not. He's got other racing obligations to attend to. But overall, I mean, he just from talking to him, he said he was going to be here, and unfortunately, you know, those other obligations came into play. But Christian, when I mentioned that Mullis might be back, he said, "Uh-oh, I actually have a threat," because we've seen them battle, and Challenger would eventually pull away as tires wore down. But Christian genuinely mentioned this was not the most favorite of his track, so we'll have to see through the rest of the season how Chandler can hold his own, because he's really fighting against Steve Brown here.
Yeah, Steve has, I don't know, really stepped up to the plate here. Again, no one's been able to challenge Christian besides him and I guess John Dipple, but I don't know, it's very, very nice to see here. Very good change of pace. We actually have a race to watch in GTM now, so thank you for that, Steve. We salute you.
Such a great battle, and this is another battle that we need to watch, and it's been going on the entire time. They were involved in contact early on in the sprint race, and so they started further back maybe than they wanted to, but Josh Klogg and Philip Krause, so that's Klogg in the black, red, and yellow machine. Meanwhile, you got Philip Krause in the teal and black Spark Virtual Racing Ford as well. And just very deep on the brakes once again as Krause trying to make up any little bit he can. A couple more very slow, very tight corners, and this is where you need to watch. This little section here versus about 3 corners from now is a very long straightaway. So once again, it looks like Krause able to, on those high downforce, very slow handling corners, able to catch up just a little bit. But then once they get back onto the throttle, pulling away is that Corvette of Josh Klogg. And this is a battle for second up here. This is Ragster and McDonald. These are two teammates, looking for every bit of slipstream. Very defensive, Go Savvy and Ragster. And what a fight. I think he's going to be clear going into turn 1, but he's still very defensive. Are we going to maybe see the crossover move from McDonald? We are. Is he able to get it done? Better drive off the corner. No, it's still Ragster. Oh, what a fight between these two Renovo teammates.
Now as they come through the S's here, right behind each other, I think Ragster's going to have a little bit of a loss here, just because of the aero push, but it's going to be interesting now as they come through this really slow uphill, downhill bit, a little bit of an extension of the S's.
Yeah, we talked about how these two cut the gap down to Janney to about 2.5 seconds. It's back up to 3 seconds at the line, but they've also grown the gap to 4th place Josh Klogg. That is up to 4 seconds. So they are Klogg and Krause are.
I think Phil might have made a mistake here.
Yeah, Philip Krause did lose a little bit of time to Josh Klogg, but Klogg still about 4.1 seconds at the line up to Dan McDonald, next car up the road. He can see them, but just barely. They're getting smaller in his windshield. And right behind them, though, watch out. There is another Renovo Racing car of Ivan Pandev after getting double overtaken in one of the last corners. A couple laps to go. Still just trying to work his way up the field as we work our way. Under 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, this race is going by pretty quickly. It's pretty exciting to see, especially because we have battles everywhere. It's getting hard to keep up with him. Christian, as I'm looking at Christian Challenger right now, still trying to hold off Steve Brown. That battle's been going on for ages now.
And we've got a couple of interesting battles on track. We've looked at all of them the last couple of laps. Ragster, McDonald, then Klogg, Krause, and Pandev, as well as this battle between Challenger and Brown. Otherwise, the field is pretty spread out. This is Magnus Okenhog and Kieran Forrest. This is for, I believe, 7th place in GTM. And Okenhog had the inside, just had to take it a little too tight. Keeping it, though, right there on the back. But he might have a better exit. Covering it off nicely was Forrest, though. That's Forrest in the black and yellow machine. Meanwhile, the Magnus Okenhog in that LRL rocket ship, just trying to work his way. He's got a much better line, it seems like. Meanwhile, Forrest has to play things very defensive, kind of holding things to the inside on every single straightaway. You see a lot of damage there to the front of Okenhog's car. I mentioned the barrier that he found a little bit. The rear wing is going to be the thing I think that's hurting him the most, because that rear wing is bent up just a little bit on the left-hand side. That peeking out might hurt his, maybe give him a little extra downforce as, it raises up into the air just a little bit more. But here they go, way climbing the mountain up to turn number 1. Now we go looking at that battle for 2nd place that we were talking about between McDonald and Ragster. And McDonald just holding his own right behind his teammate.
Yeah, McDonald gonna see if he can make a move here. I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna take advantage of the 3 consecutive hairpins here. See what he can do.
I have to say, I really appreciate what these Renovo guys have done for us this season, because last year, the only difference between the 2 Renovo cars was the rims. One had matte rims, one had chrome rims. This season, not only do they have 2 teams with the chrome versus the reloaded finishes, the white finish, they also have different colored trim both on the mirrors and the wing end plates. So definitely doing a great job there, making things easy on us. And Renova guys, we support you. And you definitely have to love the rear wings on these cars. They have both the driver's name and their nationality shown on the rear wing. So great job from them. As you see a great shot of those beautiful cars. McDonald's looks up the inside. Is he there at the corner? We saw him try the crossover move last time. Oh, very late move there from Ragster. Dan McDonald has the better line. He's going to get a better exit here. Will it be enough? No,
he's not going to get him into turn 2 here now as they come into the S's.
And that's the thing, is that turn 2 is so close there to turn him not, if you get a better run on turn number 1, it's killed immediately if you're on the inside line.
Indeed, I mean, just that's probably one of the biggest crutches of this track is that it's just really hampered by the way the track is designed. The way the front stretch is based, it's like how short it is. You don't really have much room for a good turn 2, so you basically get to deal with that sweeper, which is an interesting corner, but you don't really provide much overtaking opportunity.
And the gap to the lead, has fallen just a little bit, but Josh Klogg, he's not only gaining on the leader, he's gaining on this battle. Made up the gap now back. I said it was 4 seconds. It's only 2 seconds now. He's got 2 seconds off of him as hard as this battle is going on.
Oh, moving to the outside is Dan McDonald. Is he going to be able to make a move here?
He's there. Can he get the crossover? He's going to have the better apex.
There he goes.
And he's there. He's still there. Next corner is a right-hander, though. On the inside is going to be Ragster.
Is he going to hold it?
Uh-oh. Oh, McDonald thought about sticking his nose in there, but can't do it.
There. I guess you're going to have to wait till next lap now as they come through Turkey Turn 8.
But wait. Do you hear that? That's Josh Klogg coming up behind him. You see him in your shot there. The door is wide open for Klogg, pushing as hard as he can to get there. Stalking these 2 zebras in Renovo racing cars. That's Ragster and McDonald just fighting so hard, and Josh Klogg says, "Thank you very much. I will take every tenth that you guys give me."
Don't count out Ivan Pandev and Philip Kraus. Philip had a little bit of a problem getting around a lap car. I believe it was Clark Archer. No, it was Peter Houston, actually. They had a little bit of problems getting around him in the second to last corner last lap. So he lost the position to Ivan Pandev, but he's still making up time. I think we're going to have a 5-car battle for second here. Just you wait.
So it's still Janney, Ragster, McDonald, then Klogg and Pandev, your top 5 there. But man, those top 5, you got to put a big asterisk next to them because they are subject to change. They are just fighting hard right here, nose to tail, maybe 2 or 3 car lengths between each car here. But Klogg just licking his chops, waiting to take advantage of having some zebra for dinner.
Zebra he is having, just they really dominate this way by. Well, obviously the zebras of Renovo Racing have been so dominant, but Josh Klogg is trying to, rain on the parade of a 1-2-3 for the Ferraris.
And I believe just a moment ago, that car you saw right in front of all of them was Travis Seymour. He ran wide, and I think that he's just going to park it for the day. He's been in the wall a couple of times, and unfortunately his day is done. Now you see lap traffic. Oh, very wide there. That was Ragster. Ragster contacted with one of the lap cars. Yeah, that was Russell Clayson there, that 33 lapped car that in the GTM category. So unfortunately, he's going to lose a couple of spots there.
Oh, and there's
now Michael Janney able to pull away 4.8 seconds back to, it's going to be, at the line it was Ragster, but now it's going to be McDonald then Klogg.
Real quick, Philip Kraus was able to send it up the inside of Ivan Pandev there. He took back 5th. They're coming around a lap car now. It's just, Pandev's going to try and look to the inside there, but not quite. Yeah,
that was that same car that caused issues a moment ago. That was Russell Clayson that they got by, and now working their way up through the field. It's still going to be Dan McDonald. can't remember. I don't think he's had a podium yet this season. I'll have to check that, but Josh Klogg up to third as well.
Yeah, Dan McDonald has unfortunately been the best of probably the weakest of the Renovo cars, but he's definitely not looking like it now. I mean, he's outshining his teammates, Bragster and Pandev. Be really cool to see him get a second place here, especially right behind Mike Ken.
And the battle for the lead, by the way, in GTM, in the GT3s, it's still going to be the BMW of Christian Challener, pulling away just slightly over Steve Brown. The biggest that this gap has been so far, at least. They're fighting hard. And by the way, I'm getting a note from one of the league admins. By the way, we need to take a look at the battle between Kieran Forrest and Magnus Oakenhog, and I'm switching over to on my view. What a fight that they are putting on. They're side by side going into some of the final corners. Yeah, they were almost side by side on entry going into the last corner. And look at them drive down this long straight, swerving, trying to break the draft is Kieran Forrest. Magnus Oakenhog, he doesn't know what to do. He's going cross-eyed, just trying to follow this car in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, these two guys really not racing for much, just out there to have a great time, and honestly, that usually produces some of the best racing. I mean, you know, they're sitting, what was that, 8th or not, 7th and 8th? Yeah, I mean, why not go out and just have a, you know, tear some virtual cars up and just have a good time, I think. And that's what they're doing. That was making it very entertaining for us.
Yeah, a great show that they are putting on. Just looking through our stats, I want to make sure that I'm not wrong before I say this, but has Dan McDonald? He is not. Well, so yeah, I think we're being told he might have had a sprint podium, but he has not had a feature race. No, because even in he struggled at VIR where he finished 14th. So definitely some struggles this season for Dan McDonald, but yeah, he has not yet finished on the podium. I think his best finish so far has been 5th in a sprint race, and he finished 5th in the feature at Interlagos as well. Other than that, he's been fairly mid-pack, but this might be an opportunity for him to improve his season, get a decent run going for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I never stopped watching Magnus Oakenhog versus Kieran Forrest, and now they're side by side going into Turkey Turn 8. Ooh, Oakenhog not exactly able to, you know, hold it on the outside there, but he's been, you know, just hounding the rear end of Kieran Forrest. I think eventually we're going to see these guys, you know, really go at it. Oh, wow. There he goes, as I say.
He was on the outside there, side by side, crossing over. Oh, contact! Oh, what a fight this is! Thank you, Matt Kingsbury. The driver sitting on the bench for the rest of the season, unfortunately, but thankfully he gives us those notes that tells us where to look on track, and wow. He tells us to switch over, and we see them get into contact going into the final corner. What a fight this is as well.
Yeah,
5 laps to go, by the way. Coming to 4 to go as Michael Janney works his way through the final 2 corners. Still some great battles all throughout the field. Is now Josh Klogg working on the back of Dan McDonald. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to have much to get there. So there you see Philip Kraus right on the back of Savian Ragster. That's the battle for 4th that you're looking at as they go up the hill into turn number 1, cross the line for 4 laps to go. This is Kraus up the inside. He's going to get that position as well. Very late move there from Philip Kraus, but it's such a wide track, there is room to do that. It's Philip Kraus now leading Savian Ragster for 4th place.
And Ragster just trying his best to maybe get that position back. I mean, Philip's really not racing for much. He missed the first 5 races of the season, coming in just now starting to, you know, kick everybody's butt.
Yeah, he did a great job the last 2 races, winning both of them. The interesting thing to look at, by the way, as they're coming through that section, it might look like a very flat track with a lot of, you know, just painted curbs and stuff left and right. But no, you'll see the yellow curbing. You can see it throughout this track, but the yellow curbing, especially in that section, those curbs will upset the car. I think we saw both Magnus Okenhaug and Travis Seymour both hit those just wrong and unfortunately ruin their days. Now it's going to be the rest of these guys trying to fight things out between themselves, fighting for, as you're looking at the battle for 4th position on track.
And look at Josh Klogg now, just trying to get around Dan McDonald, just not quite being able to hold on. Or, I mean, he's able to hold on to him, but he's not quite able to make the move. He's got some lap traffic coming up here. Clark Archer, maybe he can get the advantage. We got a guy spinning in the back. I think that's saving Ragster. Yeah, it is.
Wow, Ragster goes around. And is he going to lose more than just the one spot? I don't think so. Yeah, no, there's a large gap behind him. So it's
look at that. Oh my God, that's a really. We should go back and check that replay. That's a really incredible save by Philip Kraus there.
Yeah, this is a look at the replay. You'll see it coming up right here on the brakes. Is there contact?
I don't know what happened with Christian and Steve Brown.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it was the other way around there. The big loser was the one that initiated the contact to save Ragster. So we're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4 of Renova Racing. Now it's down to a 1, 2. The next two are running 5th and 6th, so Klogg and Kraus that were battling very hard earlier. And and it might be down to a 1, 3 as Josh Klogg is right on the back end of Dan McDonald for 2nd position. This is what makes for great battles all throughout the season. This is why it's better to watch an entire season rather than just one race, because this battle, Josh Klogg worked his way from the back, slowly but surely climbing his way up through this ladder. And as he gets one spot here, one spot there, he gets 1 point at a time. And it's going to make things very tight as Michael Janney tries to run away with the win.
Shooting up the inside there. Oh, maybe.
There's contact. He goes around. Oh, that's going to give Josh Klogg 2nd place, but
and no.
Philip Kraus going through as well. It's Ragster.
Cinderella story comes to an end.
So it's going to be Dan McDonald getting past. He's going to be passed by 3 cars. I believe Pandev got him as well. Yep, so he's going to be down to 5th place for Dan McDonald. Oh, so unfortunate. The commentator's curse now hits me. I thought this was going to be for Dan McDonald's first podium of the season. Just so unfortunate. Oh, look at that move, though. That was, I believe, Stratton and Forrest that we're still looking. Okenhaug and Forrest. Okenhaug was very late there.
Christian Challenger coming up to a couple lap traffic in his field. That battle we were watching earlier, Magnus Okenhaug and Kieran Forrest.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see for sure. He knows that these guys are battling, and the thing I know about Christian Challenger is he's going to do everything he can to let these guys race. And all that this is going to do is...
I don't know if he's going to do that, though.
If he lets them race, he's going to open the door for Steve Brown. He doesn't want to do that. He's going to have flashbacks to our sprint race just a little bit ago, letting him go by both. Oh, Magnus lets him go, but is Kieran going to do the same? I think he's going to think better of it. Christian has the straight line speed anyway. Yeah, so it's going to be Christian getting through clean, but if you're Steve Brown, you're just gritting your teeth right here because you have to know that you just let that slip away from you, not able to get through those lap cars cleanly. And finally able to get through as Christian Challenger grows his lead to about 12 car lengths or so now, going through this tight infield section. Left, right, left, right. And they're still battling right behind these two between Forrest and Okenhaug. Forrest got the position for now, but Okenhaug right there. Just look how close they are on track. This is further up, though. This is the 95 of McDonald. He lost a couple positions. He's going to fight to get them back. We'll see what he can do the rest of the race. Now we switch it back over to that battle between Forrest and Okenhaug. and it's still going to be Kieran Forrest gaining that position at the line.
Yeah, just Kieran Magnus is just like putting on such an interesting race. Like, I mean, you know, again, as I said before, they're not really racing for much, but what they are racing for is just fun, and that's what we all at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, just to have a lot of fun.
And just a slight mistake going into turn number 2 for Steve Brown. He's lost a ton of time to Christian Challoner. Maybe not a ton of time, but he definitely lost some. But we're going to focus still on this battle between Forrest and Ogenhaug. Nope, this is further up front. Oh, this is the final lap. Oh my goodness, how time flies. The final lap for your overall leader. That's the 113 of Michael Janney. And you know what? He's going to have an issue with lap traffic coming up here as well, because he still has to deal with that battle between Forrest and Ogenhaug, and he's probably going to end up catching the two between Challoner and Brown as well. You see him going through this left-hander here. He's definitely not going to catch, I guess, the Challoner-Brown battle, but Clark Archer, I was looking at through positions. Forrest and Ogenhaug, they're going to be an interesting. If you go on board with Janney, they were side by side just in front of him.
We're watching right now. I'm looking at Christian Challoner again. It's just looking back, but you guys are looking back at Josh Klogg. He's not exactly going to be able to catch Janney. Really good effort by him, though. I think we would have seen a great battle between these two for the win had things been different in the sprint. I mean, I think Josh coming from 7th to 2nd, that's something he can be happy about. I mean, he's going to lose a little bit of points to Janney, but it's not going to be that bad.
Only a couple of final corners here for Michael Janney. Gets clear of those 2 lapped cars that we were talking about. That was a tight battle. He had to hammer that curbing on the left-hand side as well. And through the final corner comes Michael Janney, and he is going to win and dominate the Arcade Designs Grand Prix here from Circuit of the Americas. Back behind them as well is going to be Josh Klogg and Philip Kraus taking 2 and 3. Unfortunate day for Dan McDonald, who finishes 4th. That's going to be Pandev, Ragster, Fanning, and Kingsbury. Challoner works his way back through, and they've got a long way to come around. He's got about a second or so, maybe just over that at the line for Challoner. But doing everything he can to catch up is Steve Brown. So just watch this battle. This is Christian just way out in front, trying to get a redemption, keep his streak alive. At least when it comes to feature races, he can win every single one, as he finished 3rd in the sprint here today. But down this long straightaway they come. Doing everything he can. I don't think he's going to have nowhere near enough for Steve Brown. He's going to have a massive mistake from Christian Challoner, as he's just looking at brake lights pulling away from him right now.
Yeah, just Christian really, turned it around. Started where he didn't want to be, which, I mean, is still a pretty good place to start. 3rd place is nothing to scoff at. But for the standards that he's put up this season, and what just, was a little bit below average. But now, we're seeing him. He is just making such a great effort. Such a great comeback. It's not like it wasn't exactly decisive. I mean, Steve Brown was on his tail the whole race until that lap traffic came up. So yeah, we're going to see Christian Challoner coming through these final 2 corners, probably to take the win.
And the overall consecutive streak has come to an end, but Christian Challoner through the final corner across the line, and it's Challoner taking the win for the GT-AM category here at Circuit of the Americas. Steve Brown, though, putting on a heck of a fight, just over 2 seconds behind at the line.
Indeed, I mean, just a really good race today. We're gonna see if we can get those 2 guys our 2 winners in the booth, I think.
Yeah, we're going to have our top 2 from both classes, as is tradition here in NASA GT Americas. And I mean, what a great show that we've seen all around. We had, of course, that battle for 2nd for a while there in GT Pro. We had the battle for 4th in GT Pro. We had the battle for the lead in GTM for most of that race as well. And even the battle for what ended up to be 6th place getting taken by Openhog over Forest. Battles all throughout this field. It might have been one of the smaller fields that we've seen this season, but they still did a great job putting on a fun show for all of us to watch. We're going to get set to be joined by the winner of tonight's race, both in the sprint and the feature. It's Renovo Racing's own Michael Janney. Janney, what a show you put on out there today.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's been a while, I haven't had too many.
I missed you.
Oh, thanks, Chad. I haven't had too many good races recently. I don't know. Felt like I was going through a little bit of a slump, but after tonight, I'm riding up there and feeling pretty good. And at the end of the day, I think I'm here just because of the team practice that we put in at Renovo each week and all the guys there. And I mean, without Yvonne's setup, his hyperdoc this week, for a lack of a better term, I don't think that I would have even come close to pole there. But just a really smooth race for me. Just trying to keep it consistent. Had a little bit of a moment there into T1. I really hope the broadcast didn't catch it, but it was a good save. But it lost me like 2 seconds, so it wasn't optimal.
No, all we did was make you look real good with those driving skills. Don't worry.
Thanks.
So talking about your sprint race, you got off to an amazing jump right off the start and just kind of pulled away with things from there. I mean, was there any coordination between you guys, or you guys just had the door open for you and pulled right away?
Well, what we figured, we actually practiced the start a bit this week at Renovo because we were figuring that if the green flag came out anywhere after the turn, the final corner, we would all want to be around that corner. So the concept there, I think I executed it a little bit better in the feature, but we were able to time it so that all of us were around that corner before we hit it. So I think that gave us a good bit of a lead. But yeah, the start was really phenomenal. Honestly, I would say that I raced. I'm a little bit proud of myself because of how consistent I was in the sprint on that track because it's really challenging. I'd actually say it's worse than VIR in terms of consistency.
And I mean, unfortunately for you, Josh Klogg was able to claw his way back up through the field, but still, all the points that you gained in the sprint, as well as what you took in the feature, is definitely going to make things interesting as we come to only 3 races to go here in the season.
It's going to make it really close. I have a feeling that the top 3 this season are going to be within 20 points, if not less, towards the end. But we have Long Beach coming up. We have Charlotte and one other one, which I can't remember off the top of my head. But
Long Beach.
I said Long Beach.
Or sorry, Mid-Ohio.
Mid-Ohio, thank you. Mid-Ohio is going to be very difficult for me. Never run it. Haven't even bought the track yet, so a little bit of work I have to do there. But I think going towards Long Beach and Charlotte, I'm very comfortable with those two. So I'm just hoping for good results.
So if my math is correct, by the way, I believe that you are tied for the lead right now. If not, it's within 2 points. So looking forward, you've got a lot of work to do for next week. But talk about how much team play came into it. You guys were running 1, 2, 3, 4 for Renovo for the longest time in that race, and one by one, something happened to everybody behind you.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate. At the end of the day, though, that's just racing. Never seems to go your way when you want it to. But yeah, I think all of us had really good pace this week. I think the track fit the car really, really well. And again, I think Yvonne's setup just streamlined it for us. It's really kind of neat. We're in the voice chat, we're talking to each other, communicating. If someone makes a small error and goes a little wide, we're just like, take the position. Because the whole concept when you're in that position, 1 through 4, is just to get as far away from P5 as you can, P5, and build that gap. So it's a little. We do practice the coordination throughout the week. So I think the start of the races this week really highlighted the practice we've done so far.
I believe it was McDonald that was battling with Ragster, I think, for second for the longest time during that race. So what was that discussion like in your in your communication, just because of how tight and how hard they were battling.
Well, at the end of the day, we don't really like team orders, so we encourage, I guess, the battle between us. But at the end of the day, once the gap starts to close in, we're like, okay, let's focus up. Start going for single file, get that gap back, and then go for it again. Because at the end of the day, we're all here just to have a good race. So, there's no real strategy for it. We're just like, you know what? If Dan and Savian want to fight for it, then go for it, because we want to get fun racing out there. So.
All right, and as we wrap things up here, final question for you, as always. Any sponsors you want to thank? Any shout-outs to give?
Yeah, I got the Renovo Watch Party. Got to thank them because they're always out here, and family watching it. All the guys from my other iRacing team that support me each week and watch the stream, and yeah, it's honestly just a great thing because it's like everyone comes together and supports me for this. So I really feel great when I can execute a decent result, and they were there supporting me.
Well, hey, congratulations on yet another win here in GT Americas for you, Michael Janney.
Thank you very much, Chad, and thanks for having me again. Hopefully I'm back here more often.
Sounds good. We'll hopefully see you after next week at Mid-Ohio. We're going to move things along to our next interview here with Josh Klogg, the second place finisher in the pro category. Josh, I mean, what a battle you had. You had some issues there early in the sprint and had to work your way up both through the sprint and the feature. Just tell us about that grind.
Yeah, we knew coming in here it was going to be, we were on the back foot as far as pace to the Ferraris. Really underestimated how far once we got into the session tonight. But yeah, it was quite a battle. That contact with Dan there, I was really just trying to pressure him. I knew we had like 25-meter braking marker advantage. So I was just trying to pressure him, but
yeah, we
underestimated the speed difference in that corner and unfortunate contact there. So sorry to Dan for that.
Yeah, it was unfortunate to watch. That was going to be my next question for you, to tell us about that. But man, I mean, you had to work your way up through this field. Talk about maybe in the sprint race, though, you and Kraus kind of got into it on lap 1, and from there on, you guys were both just kind of working your way up through the field.
Yeah, just trying to maximize points for the overall picture. We were just that's not a good place to go side by side, and I think just got a little loose coming into that, carrying a little too much speed beforehand, and he got a little flat action. But after that, yeah, it was just a battle to try and maximize the points we could get.
Yeah, you definitely did the best to kind of maximize your points, minimize what everybody else around you gained. If my math is right, the gap between you and Janney now is down to 2 points, as unfortunately your teammate Ray didn't have the best day behind you as well. So going through, you've got Mid-Ohio, Long Beach, and Charlotte next 3 weeks to wrap up the season. Thoughts on those tracks and maybe what you can do to maximize your points?
Pretty comfortable at Mid-Ohio. Had an endurance race there, I don't know, a month or two ago. Long Beach, not too familiar with, but Charlotte's probably one of my favorite tracks. So overall, looking pretty good here on out.
Well, for Long Beach, I have to tell you, be careful in the hairpin, especially on the start. It's definitely very tricky. I don't know if you've seen the videos of what happens in iRacing there, but man, that's going to be a fun one for me to watch with you guys. But wrapping things up here, man, any sponsors you want to thank? Any shout-outs for you to give?
Yeah, the Spark guys with helping out with practice and the setup. It's been a struggle with this track, but did the best we could, and we'll look forward to it.
All right, congratulations on your second place finish, and best luck next week at Mid-Ohio.
Thank you.
That's Josh Klogg of Renovo Racing driving the number 2 machine. And a couple more interviews now, moving down to the GT Am side, where Steve Brown now is able to join us. And Steve, what a run you had, Unfortunate contact for you with Christian in the sprint, but able to make up for it with a great battle there in the feature.
Yeah, it was, sprint race was pretty eventful. And honestly, in both races, I didn't get the start I wanted to. It's a little weird when the pole sitter is on the outside, and try not to get in front of them. Basically, the guy in the second row, or should be in the second row, and third gets a jump on you. But anyway, yeah, it was a good couple of races. I wish I didn't have the contact with Christian, but made up for it with a pretty good battle for the win in the feature.
Yeah, talk about, what does it feel like battling with a guy like Christian Challenger, someone that works so hard on these cars for iRacing? How does it feel knowing you can hold your own against a guy like that?
Well, I hope he was actually pushing. I'd like to think he was pushing, but
he wouldn't give you an inch. Don't worry.
Well, he's a good enough driver that he would know that 1 second gap is enough for him. He doesn't need to push any further than that. We'll see what he says here during his interview. But I'd like to think I was pushing him, and if that's the case, then that's fantastic. Even the finish within 15 seconds of him over a race is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, we saw you under braking. You were able to catch so much up on him, but he just pulled away in the straights. Do you think that it was just something in the setup, maybe, that you were able to handle those high downforce corners a little bit better than him? Oh,
for sure. He definitely had that BMW trimmed out, and I was on max wing, and you can see it where I would gain probably 3-4 tenths through the S's. He would gain it back down the long straightaway, and then the last sector there, I would gain a few tenths back, and then he would pull it back out on the front straightaway. So we were pretty even, I think, on pace. It's just a matter of where we were making the time.
Yeah, you guys did a great job putting on a good show today. What are your thoughts so far? If I remember right, this is your first time here in the booth with us. What are your thoughts on overall just the season of the competition here in GT Americas?
I think the format is great. Competition so far has been pretty good. It'd be nice to get a few more GT3 cars out there. I think V-Apex is certainly pointing away here the last few races, so we're enjoying it.
Mid-Ohio next week. What are your thoughts on that track?
I like it. Got some pretty good experience there on previous leagues that I've raced in, so got some laps around there. And then Long Beach after that, which I haven't run in iRacing since the update, so we'll see what happens there. Try and do the same we did the last 2 rounds.
And as we wrap things up here tonight, any sponsors you want to thank? Anybody you have to give shout-outs to?
Definitely have to thank V-Apex for letting me drive with them, and Clark for putting together a killer setup. I'm not much of a setup guy, so he's doing most of the work, and I pretty much just tweak it to my driving style, and it was a flyer today.
Well, you guys even battled in there between you and Clark for a little bit. You guys put on a heck of a show, and great race to you, and congratulations on your second place finish.
Thanks, guys.
It's Steve Brown of V-Apex Race there, the 182 machine, and one final interview for us today as Christian Challenger joins us in the booth once again. Christian, interesting show today. The streak is over.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing, but I mean that was kind of my own bad, really. Obviously, yeah, had some contact with Steve, which wasn't great, but and I mean I watched it back and I get it. Like, it's a pretty weird line to take through there, and he probably wasn't expecting me to cross over that much, but the reality of that really is if I hadn't half spun it in turn 1, I never would have been there anyway. So, there's that. And then beyond that, like, just yeah, I was trying some different stuff, and it seems weird to do that. Obviously when it's pretty much everything that I've done so far has obviously worked pretty well, but the thing is, you kind of have to try different stuff just to see if there's anything out there, and I mean, in some ways, some stuff worked, but a lot of stuff just didn't really. Struggled for balance like the entire time. I understand why. I'm not going to explain why, but yeah. Now that I look at it, I'm like, yeah, probably shouldn't have taken things that way. Qualifying was okay, I suppose, and sprint fuel, like, it was okay. It was just mega twitchy and just really hard to hold on to, as you guys obviously saw. And then in the feature, the pace just wasn't really there. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, I thought Steve was probably just gonna get in the draft and send it on me one lap, and that'd kind of be the end of it.
Yeah, from talking with Steve just a moment ago, he was talking about how he was running max downforce. Looked like you were pulling away quite a bit down the straights. How trimmed out did you have your car?
I was out there on 3-wing in qualifying, and then the first race. That I felt like probably contributed to leaping it around a bit. So then for the feature, I went up to 4, but didn't really help me. Mainly because the car just wasn't set around that. So pretty much all I did was I just shifted the balance rearwards, and I had massive understeer everywhere, and it didn't fix the issue that I had, which was in slow speed corners, where I just flat out didn't have enough traction. The roll control and everything was just poor. It's basically the only way I can put it. Like the way I tried to set the car up just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And like I look at it afterwards, and I'm like, there's no reason to do half the stuff I did. And um, yeah, should have basically known that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple times this season. Whether it's you battle with Jimmy Mullis early and then pull away at the end, or you just run away with it from the start. What was it like in the feature tonight? Just kind of having Steve right there with you the entire time.
Well, I mean, I was watching, and obviously now that you said that he was kind of like maxed out on wing, it makes a lot more sense as to why he was so strong in the kind of the twisty areas, especially towards the end of the lap. So not really surprised that he was catching me up through there now. But really it was kind of strange because I knew there was no way he was going to get by me on the straightaway, so that was kind of easy, and there was never any threat into the braking zones and that kind of stuff. But I also knew that if I made a mistake like in the first race, then there was probably going to be a pretty low probability that I was going to be able to get back by him. So it was it was interesting in that sense, and I think I probably made a little bit of a mistake near the beginning of the race because I kind of got out there, and I was happy to sit out there, and I was I think I was just outside of the draft for him, and I think if I'd have been able to stay there, I might have been able to slowly pull away. But because he got into the draft, it meant that I couldn't really get away from him, and he was just there the whole time.
And if our math is correct, by the way, we're being told that as long as you maintain the gap to second place right now, Clark Archer at Mid Ohio, you have clinched the championship already. How does that make you feel knowing that there's still 3 races left and you still have that opportunity?
I mean, obviously, it's pretty cool. I'm kind of disappointed that I sort of screwed up on my own deal in the sprint because that was just yeah, I was sat there chatting to somebody, and literally I went into the corner, and I could feel it going around, and I just said to him, I was like, "Oh, I've spun!" Like it was just so surprising that it happened, and it was so strange because in qualifying I felt like I was tiptoeing around the track and I did enough to get the pole, but then in the first couple of laps of the sprint, it actually felt really hooked up, and I was like, oh, okay, and I kind of got a bit complacent with it, and then once it sort of bit me once, that was like that was it for the rest of the night. I went back into kind of tiptoeing around the track, and all the pace was kind of gone from there, which was a bit of a shame. But I would actually like to give a shout out to the VApex guys who are running the Mercedes, because they're pretty much showing what, to be honest, I kind of already knew, which is that the car's actually pretty good. You just have to put a decent amount of time into understanding how to make it work, and it's probably the reason we don't see that many of them outside of leagues where you're kind of fixed to one car every week. It's just a bit of a tricky car to get into the window, and it's a bit of a tricky car to kind of figure out how you got to drive it. And the BMW's a bit like that as well, but it's probably a bit more mild. So it's cool to see. I said it last week, I think, about how they were kind of closing the gap, and obviously this week they're closing the gap even more. I mean, that that to me is the first time I feel like there was it's gonna sound weird because like when I was racing against Jimmy at Mosport and that kind of deal, I kind of knew that I was on the same car, and as long as I could maintain the same pace, that it was going to be very difficult for him to pass me. But there, it was kind of a question about the whole race as to was I gonna get better, or was I gonna get worse relative to Steve? So yeah, definitely kind of on my toes for the entire time there.
Yeah, and you gave a shout out to those VApex guys, but anybody else you want to thank? Any sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd actually like to give you guys a shout out for doing the broadcast and for everybody involved in the hosting of the league, because it has been pretty fun. And yeah, I'm sad to see the streak come to an end, but I'll be back for I'll be back for the next round, and I think next season we're kind of gonna have everybody pretty much in the same class, so that should definitely be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that final determination. It would definitely be fun to see everybody running the GT3s once again, and maybe bring back that inversion you're looking so much forward to.
Oh yeah, would totally like to see that. Obviously tonight that was an interesting experience for me, not starting from the pole. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do when I get to turn 1? But would totally like to see definitely at least like a 10-car invert or something like that.
Yeah, hey Christian, you might not have gotten the sprint, we got the feature once again. That streak at least is still alive, and best of luck next week at Mid-Ohio.
Thank you, man.
Yep, thanks, Christian. That's Christian Challoner, winner once again here in NASA GT America's driver of the number 78 iRacing BMW. Thanks for joining us for the Lone Star Grand Prix, brought to you by Arcade Designs. Make sure you tune in next week for the R Designs Grand Prix from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Also, don't forget to stop by these same channels both on Twitch and YouTube on Wednesday night for the Simracer Coin NASA Rallycross Challenge. For Mike Berry and our drop-dead gorgeous producer, Victor Vallee, I'm Chad Irvine. Race hard, race safe.